All right, welcome back, everybody. HSC Podcast 180. Big Box Steve on the mic, Big Smooth, and we are on, final podcast for NFL. Super Bowl just happened. Really, just to end the season, though. We'll, of course, come back with draft. We'll talk off-season moves like that, but it'll be a whole nother year till it's picking games and
Yep.
seeing how well we do. Before we just talk Super Bowl real quick, we had talked about a little about this the other day. Uh, had a little more time going through, and we do run about 65 to 70% um, game picks throughout the years that we've been doing this, and that's pretty good. And when I saw that stat for ESPN analysts or talking heads being under 50%, so I don't know who you guys are out there listening to, but you may want to tune into HSC Podcast.
Well, most of the people on ESPN aren't really, they're just there to mm, make stories. They're not really actually, I don't know. It's not what it used to be. It's kind of sad.
It definitely is not. I used to love ESPN a lot. It used to be real just fun to watch. Just a great show. So speaking of great shows, Super Bowl, biggest game of the year. I mean, just we recap. We don't got to get into it. Everybody saw it, right? Everybody saw what happened, and it was a defensive, not just defensive struggle, but kind of like for me, it was a defensive, you know, masterclass given by the Seahawks to the Patriots, and it's fun to watch if you enjoy football. If you're a student of the game and you're a player, you watch some of the things that the Seahawks did on defense, and you're like, wow, they got after him. They did stick to that old adage, if it works, keep doing it, and they kind of run that same blitz every 10 times, but whatever, it worked, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of what we expected.
Yeah,
It's how we kind of Darnold did enough. He just didn't have to make errors. They had the nice one play to Barner for a touchdown, and then the real MVP Myers, going out there making a bunch of field goals.
I think if I remember right, I was like 28-13 on my score prediction, so that's pretty close.
Yeah. You said under 45 and a half.
Yep. So they went under. They won by about that score. The only thing we didn't get was the defensive MVP, which I thought that they had a chance at one point, right? I mean, we talked about that weeks ago, long before the Super Bowl. But even during the game, you're like, you know what? There's a chance here.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is Walker had a good game. He still didn't have any touchdowns, but he had like what 130 something yards
Yeah.
rushing. Darnold, I mean, it was set up perfectly for a defensive player to win MVP because
Right.
Darnold didn't do much. He had one touchdown, but his like completion percentage was horrible. Um, Cooper Kupp was the leading receiver, so it wasn't even JSN. And was Hall had two sacks and one a strip sack. You're like, huh, maybe he's gonna sneak in there.
Right.
If Witherspoon would have got a pick, I think he might have got because he had a sack. And
He
then,
definitely needed a pick six.
but geez, man, what does Myers have to do?
I mean, speaking of MVP, right? So, there's the argument, and you're making the argument. Obviously, Kenneth Walker got it. But a lot of people are saying that, right? Should a kicker have been MVP of this game?
I mean, I would have given it to the special teams. I would have said the kicker punter combo because Dixon had some great punts too.
All right. So first, since football's over, we're jumping into a topic right now, Winter Olympics, which is happening right now. And then, like I said, we'll move into we got draft, we've got NFL offseason, March Madness, NBA going to the playoffs. They're at their All-Star break right now as well. But speaking of Winter Olympics, how much do you follow? I mean, are you big Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics? What's your preference?
Well, I like them both. I think I spend more time on the Summer Olympics. Um, but I've been trying to watch as much as I can for the Winter Olympics. I like it because it's fun. I don't play any of these, like it's just I like the Winter Olympics is fun because it's different.
Right. Yeah, you have to really be into winter sports to, I think, enjoy it more and then also kind of respect it more of what they're doing. It's easier for someone who runs track to look at someone in Summer Olympics and be like, man, that's amazing, versus what somebody's doing, downhill skiing or slalom skiing or speed skating, things like that, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I
Um,
was watching the downhill skiing and they were getting up to almost 80 miles an hour.
yeah, yeah, you're coming down there, almost 100 miles an hour. It's
And
one,
they're
if you
weaving
crash,
in and out.
yeah, it's gonna hurt. It hurts a lot. But two, it's the control that you have to have, of your body and your skis, even your snowboards, whatever they're riding at that point is amazing. So it's real hard to do. The US is interesting though, because if you look at it, the Team USA, they actually do well in summer and winter. And so kind of one of very few countries that, are good in both Olympics. US is surprisingly good, second in overall total Winter Olympic medals.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with population wise. That they always do. And then we just have so many different terrains here in the US. So it's easier to train.
Yeah. Well, and it's just the US in general. So training is typically going to be better at better facilities and more options for coaching and mentorship and things like that. It's like Jamaica and the bobsled team, right? It's
Right,
pretty hard to, start a bobsled team down there where, here, you got a lot of options.
right.
It's interesting to see Norway up there on the top of the Winter Olympics, total medals.
Well, I think it's also because it's always skewed. It's like the same as summer. Like summer, we don't start off as good, and then track and field happens, and then we dominate.
Yeah.
I think it's because Norway's getting lots of the skiing and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So,
They always do, right? Except they're the only country that's ahead of the Team USA in total medal count
right.
for not for the total Olympics, like forever. And then, I was looking at the medal count. You're right. The U.S. started real slow this year, but they've come back up, and they're right there competing with the top couple teams, which I think, is Norway. Italy was up there too. It's nice being at home
Right.
because it's in, Italy, so that's helpful. But definitely some good events have happened already. And then, I think you're in the meat of it right now, right in the middle of your Olympics, where you're starting to get a lot of medal rounds and then the start of some of the events people really get excited about.
Yeah, we've been watching the figure skating. They did the team and then the
Yeah,
individual, and we watched. Did you watch any of the ice dancing?
a little bit. I mean, it's hard because there's so many different events,
Right.
to watch them all. So I try to watch the ones that go into medal rounds mostly when I
Right.
can. So sorry about the qualifiers, but
Well, no, well they had their medal. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates of the USA got silver, and there's a controversy because it was like decimal points between gold and silver, and people were calling out the one judge that
right.
the numbers aren't adding up.
Yeah, that's the thing with those type of sports, right? Um, because there are open to interpretation a little bit to the scoring. And sometimes it comes down to what different judges score versus like a race, right, where it's timed. You're not going to have a lot of controversy in the downhill, or speed skating
Right.
or curling, for example, because there is so much curling. in the start of the Olympics. I
Well,
could
we got
see how people
silver.
might get turned off a little bit. Like you turn it on, you're like, oh, the Olympics is on. You're like, what are you watching today? Curling again.
Well, like you said the other day, it's like I get it if it was like 3 round, but it's like takes forever.
Right. They got like 10 up to 10 rounds on some of the medal one I was watching. I was like, wow, they're gonna do this for 10 rounds. And they're throwing 5 stones down there. The concept of curling is cool. It's fun to watch, but you can only take so much of it is the problem. They
Well, then
definitely need to shorten it up.
what is the American? How old was he? There's an American curler that's like in his 50s.
Well, I mean, you can't get too old for curling, right? It's like shuffleboard, except on ice.
Yeah.
It's actually complicated, and it's the way that they can make the stones curl in around other stones, and then because they have to use the sweeper, right? And that's where it gets kind of cool because there's a lot of skill involved in not only their throw, but how they turn it in and curl the stone in to try to get the points. And then you have the whole knocking out each other's stones, right? And trying to just score points in the round. So it's fun, but man, it's long. I don't know, but I like it. I like it. I do enjoy the curling. So if you're watching the Olympics, you can probably get some good replays in of some medal rounds, so you don't have to watch too much.
Yeah. See, I love like speed skating
Yeah,
and figure skating because, like, to me, figure skating is the gymnastics of the Winter Olympics.
right, right. Yeah,
And then, yeah,
yeah. The speed skating's always fun, right?
right.
Did so they just had the men's 1000 meter, which is my favorite of them all, right? I like the sprint 500. It's a little short, so the 1000 ends up being like the kind of like the 100 meter to me
Right.
almost. Maybe even though that's the sprint and track, it's like the big one. And so that their American kid from like Wisconsin or something. I watched him and he won the gold. Man, he was moving. Oh yeah, so right now Italy is taking the lead at 17 medals total, and Norway and US at 14. So we'll see if they can come back from that. Any other events or anything that anybody should check out?
Well, hockey's always nice to watch. I mean, but it's kind of like you want to wait till the medal times.
Yeah. I mean, ski jumping and big air snowboard, like those are things like anybody I think can enjoy.
Right. Yeah, freestyle skiing, the luge, because that's crazy. That's like the one person bobsled. We were watching the skeleton, which is going head first,
Right.
bobsled that thing. Woo.
I saw a funny one of a guy comparing the summer and the winter Olympics and just talking about the skeletons. Like, we're going to put you face down on this little thing and send you 60 miles an hour down this tube. And over here, you're just going to run around the track.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good. That guy was funny. And the last one, yeah, it's got to be worth mentioning because I've seen this one all over online too, and that's the guy that the cross country skier, and he's like running a sub 6 minute mile uphill on cross
Yeah.
country
That was
skis,
so crazy.
and you're watching him go, and you're just like, whoa, man. And if you've ever been on skis, especially cross country uphill, like you know how hard that is. And I can't even go out and do that, on foot around the block. So there's something different about that guy in that cross country skiing. Just in general, that's fun to watch too because it's like a race on skis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how the Winter Olympics falls out for the U.S. We'll have a good chance to recap that probably in our next episode. We're not going to get heavily into NBA even throughout the season, but we will talk some playoffs going forward as they move towards that. They're only halfway, but because they're at the All-Star break and they're halfway, throwing in a little bit of NBA talk. So they had a trade deadline that just came up, and this is been big news. Like a lot of people, a lot of sportscasters, a lot of influencers talking about this. The trade deadline goes by, and they just like wholesale their teams. I mean, the amount of trades that they did
Right.
this year, it's record breaking, number one. And it's not just the big trades, right? There's some of the hardened moves and things like that. Yeah, that's always going to happen. But the other 70 trades that happen it's just wild.
Yeah, and then like you saw the Jazz, they picked up
Jaren Jackson
Jaren
Jr.
Jackson.
Yeah.
And did you see that they got fined
Yeah.
because they were up by like a bunch against the Magic and then benched all their starters. And the Magic came back and they kept their starters out.
Wow.
So like the NBA fined them because of anti-tanking
Yeah, they
laws.
don't want him taking. Well, Jaren
Yeah.
Jackson's hurt for the season now.
Yeah.
But those type of moves, though, even though that's a little bigger move, but you saw like some of the like Anthony Simmons trades, right, from Boston to Chicago, where it's not a huge trade, but they're just all trading all of their so a lot of bench players, a lot of their second, third, and fourth, stars. And now like all these guys are just on different teams. Like you play a half a season, and then all of a sudden they just said, okay, everybody switch.
Well, this wasn't the trade deadline because it just happened today, but you see the Knicks got
No.
Jeremy Sochan
Oh,
from
nice.
from the Spurs. The Spurs released him
Yeah.
because he didn't want to be. I mean, he was what, like an all rookie 2 years ago?
Yeah, he's a good player. It's just I don't think he fits on the Spurs.
Yeah.
So that's great for the Knicks, but that's not a trade. That they just let him go.
Yeah. Well, and the Knicks picked up Alvarado and he
Yeah.
went and
Did
what was
they is McBride hurt or did they let him go or trade him?
McBride's hurt. He's
Okay.
out for a while. Yeah. Jose Alvarado in his first game had 25 points, eight threes, five steals in 19 minutes.
Yeah. He's a good 3-point shooter when he's hitting. He's very streaky. It's like you just added a second Landry Shamet,
Yeah, fine. Take as
except he
many.
plays defense.
Yeah. Josh Hart.
Yeah.
I'll take as many of those guys as you can.
But there was a lot of those moves though. I mean, just all over the place.
Mhm.
It's just weird when you're watching it one week or a couple weeks before, and then all of a sudden all the teams have different players that you just saw on the other teams. Trades happen, I get it, but this year's trade was historical, most trades ever, right? In a trade deadline. And then it kind of makes you start thinking like, why are teams doing this? Are they because a lot of them tried to get draft capital in their trades, right? So are they starting the tanking process? Are they trading to get better? Who knows what the reasoning is now.
Well, think about this. Think about this a few years ago. The Wizards now have Anthony Davis and Trey Young on their team.
Right.
Like a few years ago, you'd be like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and those guys are just not getting traded for, what they got traded for originally. Like,
Right.
think about what you gave up for Anthony Davis. That's a lot, right? I mean, anytime you give up Luca for anything, you're giving up a lot.
Right.
And maybe this is so looking at the viewership though. So we're talking NBA viewership. They had a problem for a while, right? It was going down. This is their first like spike this year. And so all I can see is that maybe it has to do with NBC, right? They got more rights back to broadcast TV, where before it was like you had to watch NBA TV or you couldn't watch it really, you know. And now Amazon has a deal as well where you can watch them on Prime. And so they're getting a little bit of viewership back. But what do you think of overall like NBA viewership? Like, are they continue to struggle? Where do you see their future?
I, to be honest, haven't watched very much NBA at all this year. I'll probably start now, but after the winter, it's like,
It's just not priority.
yeah, it's not a priority. And I mean, I'm gonna sound like an old head, but it's like lots of three pointers, and it's just I mean, a team's up by 30 in the third quarter, and the other team comes back because they're just chucking threes the whole game.
Yeah, it really is that too. And that's not an exaggeration, right? And that's not even just saying, "Hey, I'm used to older style basketball." It's the way of the game now. It's normal for these guys to go and make 3, 4 3 pointers a game and shoot, 10 a game. You see that all over the NBA. And there's a lot of people who like that, the scoring option, right? Seeing it's a little more exciting, the run and gun style. But just overall viewership, it's they have to make their product more available. Like that's what's going to hurt them, and that's been hurting them because I will watch NBA if it's on and it's on something I have access to that I don't have to pay extra for.
Right.
So it comes down to it's like the viewership tax, right? You're making me pay to watch you? Like that's not how this works. Like you're paying for me, so it's got to go the other way. But think about NBA in general though. Kind of last thought on the NBA as we finish up they're going to All-Star break. I'm looking at the breakdown. You got 16 teams aside. 10 of them have the chance to go to the playoff. And you wonder why that there's this load management, right? And that's a part of the viewership because people want to see the stars play, but they're sitting a lot, right? And resting them and they have this load management. So that hurts their viewership.
Right, wasn't that there was a primetime Laker game and they rested LeBron, Reeves, and Luca.
Yeah. You're like, what's going on here, right? Who wants to watch that?
Hmm.
So that hurts their viewership. But if you're from a team standpoint, that's the smart thing to do because it doesn't matter those you can make it into the playoffs being 10th.
Yeah. Here's the thing though, as like a consumer, you were talking about this earlier. Okay, so if you're going to a Blazer game and it's against the Nets, you can get a ticket for $20. But then if it's against the Lakers, it's 200.
Yeah.
However, and then you're gonna be like, okay, well, I'll splurge. I want to see LeBron. I want to see Luca. I'll buy this $200 ticket. And you buy a $200 ticket, and then they're not playing.
Right. And they wait until the last minute to tell you
Yeah.
too.
Hmm.
It's yeah, I can see where you lose fans in that, right? That's not good service. Like you're not providing great service to your customer,
Right. And I'm gonna sound like an old head again, but if I bought a Bulls to go to see a Bulls game back in the day, I knew Jordan would be there.
right? Which is that is a big difference, right? Because now you do have a ton of load management happening regularly, right? Sometimes it's not even, I don't think, up to the players, right? It's really just that's just a schedule that they're on.
Mhm.
They're just like, you're going to play this much. And, it's almost like a pitcher, and their pitch
Right.
counts. And it's
Yeah.
understandable to a point, but we've seen the numbers for viewership for them not be great for a while. So maybe they got to think about how they can change that. Because I'm not against watching NBA. I mean, I still enjoy it, even that it's changed, even with the new style of play. It's still basketball. It's still fun to watch. So I'm okay with that.
I'll watch playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs basketball is always good. Even in the NBA, playoff basketball is still good. It's nothing like March Madness, which, we'll get into that here shortly. But, last kind of final thoughts on Super Bowl, football wrapping up.
I mean, for me, I'm just like, my season was over early. It was a dumpster fire, and now I'm looking forward to the future. Got our coach, probably get the QB. So I'm happy going forward. You had a good season. You got
Yeah,
a
can't complain. So Raiders looking like they're on a good path. Bears, had a great season. You got to give it up for Seattle and the defense, right?
yeah,
I love that defense won because that's football to me.
right. Yes, I love defense when I'd rather it be see that's going back to NBA. I love the 90s when it was like defensive battles.
Yeah,
And that's what I want for football. I don't want 55 to 50
yeah.
scores.
Run around with flags on.
Yeah.
We might see that in football someday, but
Gosh.
hopefully not too soon. But yeah, again, so shout out to Seattle. Great job there. You got to be happy for, the young coach and Darnold to get over the hump. Patriots, I still think are, even with the loss, that's nobody expect them to be there, so you can't take anything away from them. A couple of disappointing teams out there, right? So the future now kind of unsteady for Josh Allen over there in Buffalo, and who knows what's happening in Dallas and Philly and some of the core teams.
Well, that's the thing about Buffalo. This, I don't think this was the year. It was the easiest road to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They missed a big opportunity in the playoffs this year. All right, well, we'll wrap that sports segment there in that season of football. And like I said, we'll be coming back with our next season, and we'll have, you know, um, we'll be talking draft, be talking off-season moves for NFL, March Madness, a couple other things coming up. So stay tuned for next season.